I mean, it depends on what category, because we have different categories of acquisitions we've done. When I think of some of the recent ones, I'm thinking of a gentleman who we all know and love, great guy, had been an agent in another organization, built a team, then decided to go off and have his own company. And when he came to us and we acquired his firm, the idea was we're going to take care of the people that he's got working with him, but also give him the flexibility to go off and really do what he enjoyed doing, which was selling. And he became the top agent in his county. So I think what's exciting about
Immediately.
it's just like because
And he's gone on incredible vacations
Yes.
with his family, like just like
He's
all
got
of a
his
sudden.
family life back.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So we talk about our culture being our biggest differentiator. And I know that we've all talked about like how we scale the culture. And like you had just kind of said, when we bring on another company, that's the first thing that we try to figure out. Like, will the culture mesh? How do we figure out what their culture is and maintain that? And then weave ours in. And that's easy to weave ours in when we identify the right company because everybody's like core values are usually pretty similar.
Our culture was people, we wanted people we want to have dinner with, right? That had business and that we felt good about, and we were smart, and we wouldn't have to lose sleep at night, and they all got along. We had a real thing of making them work together instead of like the agents competing within against each other. They all worked together. That started it.
And family, obviously, the they had to be like family there, and we have strong families. All of us have strong families, so it was an easy step into the company and say we want the same kind of scenario. So we hire people that we like, and like to Paul's point, we want to have lunch with them and dinner with them. We don't mind having dinner with them.
Well, and I will tell you, I'll say something that's a little nutty, but I think we're talking about what our culture is. I think it's as easily defined by what it isn't and the people that we choose not to align with.
Yeah.
And there have been a number of times, I would say more often than we've said yes, we've said no. And ultimately, it's because we've decided this is someone who it's going to make it harder for people to grow, right? They might suck up the oxygen. They might be so competitive that collaboration isn't something that they can do well. And so those are the people that we say it's just not going to work. We think they're going to be wildly successful and they'll do it on their own, but in our environment, it's just not going to add.
And we accept that. Talk about it and we accept it. Say, okay, they're going to be a great producer, but not for us.
Right.
And that same thing's companies. We've said no to more companies than we've acquired.
Yep.
Because of that.
And with that concept, because we've talked a lot about the mergers and acquisitions, but like kind of with that in terms of picking our partners, because it's really what it is. Like we've obviously grown through partnership recruiting, like not just M&A. Like who wants to walk through our big goal from a recruiting standpoint or how we go about that? Do you want to take that from a recruiting standpoint? Just like what our mission has been on that front.
Yeah, really just to get these, we have such a feeling that we can get an agent to the next level and the next level. And in confidence, we have so much results in the past for that, that, we truly believe that. And we believe the same with companies. If we can get that company, we think that company can go to the next. It's the only time we really have had challenges with these acquisitions are when maybe the owner doesn't give up the responsibilities of running the company and trusts us to take it to the next level. But it's really about the agents that we want to see them succeed.
Both of these guys would be a whole heck of a lot richer if they operated in a different way. But instead, they choose that whenever there's an opportunity, they invest in the company. And the idea behind that is that they know that over time, this thing will grow. Agents will do better. The company will do better if we invest in them. And so that's what they've chosen to do. And it's shocking to me. Whenever I talk to colleagues across the country, they always say, you do what for your agent? They can't get over it. And I tell them it's because, the owners of the company really firmly believe that if we support them and we get them to where they want to go, that we'll get to where we want to go as well.
And then Paul and I kind of operated by the seat of our pants. We were learning as we went, essentially, but we had our moral compass. We had that going on for us. But now, to throw kudos to our leadership team, because we built a team that, like, I don't care what other real estate company is, they can't compete in terms of knowledge, in terms of the ability to communicate. The leadership team now is carrying everything forward that Paul and I kind of stumbled over and created as we went along. But a lot of it's about process. Even the recruiting, we have processes
Yes.
now. We follow processes, and they work. And if they don't work, we change the process. And so that part of it wasn't our strength, and it is the leadership team's strength. And it's and that's what continues to cause us to flourish, I think.
Well, and I think that's all collaboration too. And we're talking about the culture of the company is the culture of our leadership team, that we don't take nobody takes something on by themselves. They put a team together from within our leadership organization, from our sports staff, and then all of a sudden that thing's got wings, and it's able to lift off. So.
We do. We all have the same beliefs. We're proud of the company, and that's that's not said lightly. There's some people just in it for the money, and we built a nice company, and you guys have taken it to the next level.
Right. We've all had, like, our partnership is the same between between us and the agents. And I think, like, we're always leading what we're asking people to do too. Like we were talking, when you were talking through what happened when we shifted with COVID, I think, the only one really without a family at that point. And we had someone sick on the Cape and a leadership role. So that was like her health wasn't great. And then also the pandemic, we couldn't have her out in the offices. And we had kind of just acquired those offices. So we were still trying to figure out like the people and all of that. And I ended up just moving into an office. We had like 200 rental properties that we had rented out. And now we didn't know if people could stay. We had like all these things to figure out. But like personally, one of us takes those things on. Like we show up, we sit with everybody. We're like, we're going to figure this out. And the thing is like everybody jumps to help you because it's like, we're there trying to do it with them. Like we all have a working background. Nobody has like an ideas background. And I think that's what you find in a lot of places. Like, well, this is my idea. Why don't you figure it out? It's like, no, we're sitting there rolling up our sleeves and everybody jumps to be a part of it. And with that, I think we're one of the last companies that can actually say this is a partnership. Like I think about that all the time and I'm not afraid to say it. So many people at this point, the way that they're operating, other real estate companies, they're tying people in these contracts. It's like, hidden link after hidden link, and you're going to owe this. We have complete partnerships with our agents. It's like a marriage. It's like when we say we're investing back in the company, we're investing back in the agents. We have to, because we don't tie anybody in. Like, so we're like, we're going to show up for you. You're going to show up for us. And if at any point this doesn't feel like a good match for either of us, that's okay. But this is completely a choice. And I think we're one of the only companies of our size at this point that don't have their clause in people from a financial standpoint, forcing them to stay. But that really messes with your culture. Because if you're forcing people to stay because they're afraid to leave because you're going to sue them or you're going to make them pay something back, that's not a good office to be in for everybody else. And so I am proud of the partnership thing because I think we're one of the only people that's maintained that.
Moods ever changed that from being a small company
Right.
to where we are now. No hyperlinks. What's our contract? A page and a half.
Yes. Right.
It's just you can read everything you want to read there.
Right.
There's zero secrets, nothing hiding.
And
And
our
retention
retention is incredible.
Yeah.
They're just because we don't worry about that. We're not in lawsuits with agents or whatever.
I think that creates something special. I think it creates an accessibility as well, because when they see you as a partner, like I got a email yesterday. It was Sunday, and I received an email from an agent saying, I'd like to sit down and meet. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, what's going on here? And she's just stuck. She just needs a little help, a little coaching, a little guidance. And so that's what we're going to do, because we're going to get her to wherever she wants to go. I'm invested in that. She knows that. She doesn't think, but well, the next thing for me to do is clearly to go somewhere else. It is, how can I get help from the people who care about me, from the people who are running the organization? So I think when you do that, and it's not about a legal responsibility to stay with the organization, but it's a desire, it does create a very different environment. Yeah.
And when you talk to someone with a corporate background and they want to know about your org chart, and I'd say my org chart.
Yeah.
We're almost a straight line. Everybody has a right to make decisions to the company, but they have to be in the best interest of the company.
That's right.
And if we wouldn't hire you if we didn't think you could do that.
That's right.
Well, you're also servicing independent contractors. And so the second that you get to like corporate, like they're allergic to that. Like they're out in the field making decisions on their own. They want people who have, the gumption to do the same thing and be able to work with them and partner with them. Not like I have to ask 65 people and like call, New Jersey and get an answer for you. It's like, no, you have an answer right here.
Right.
So From just like another, just diving into a little bit from the acquisition standpoint, does anyone have like a favorite success story, even if it's anonymous from an acquisition standpoint?
There's so many of them, but I mean, it depends on what category, because we have different categories of acquisitions we've done. When I think of some of the recent ones, I'm thinking of a gentleman who we all know and love, great guy, had been an agent in another organization, built a team, then decided to go off and have his own company. And when he came to us and we acquired his firm, the idea was we're going to take care of the people that he's got working with him, but also give him the flexibility to go off and really do what he enjoyed doing, which was selling. And he became the top agent in his county. So I think what's exciting about
Immediately.
it's just like because
And he's gone on incredible vacations with his family, like just like all of a sudden.
life back.
Right.
There's so much to it. So that's exciting. I mean, we've had people who have retired as a result and gotten to spend great time with their kids and their wives and their grandkids and everything else. So those are great stories. But
And there's one that being an acquisition company, I love it when, and there's been several of our companies where the agents quietly come over and say, thank you. We love our owner. We loved it all, but we saw that we weren't keeping up.
Yep.
And they had so much respect for that person. They weren't going anywhere, but they also felt like they weren't going anywhere.
Right.
So all of a sudden we come in. And so that's always a great feeling when the agent base finds you and says, thank you so much.
Because they always feared what the succession plan is. Where they could end up anywhere. And a lot look at us and go, God, I'd like to end up with these guys.
And believe me, we've had some mishaps too.
Oh, yeah, sure we have.
Not going to hide behind that.
No.
And that was generally, we learned it was more business formats. There's certain franchises that just don't gel with Sotheby's and the direction. And we had learned it the hard way. We took in a couple of companies that were like, that they just never fit, it never worked. And nothing wrong with their format, nothing wrong with ours, but it didn't fit.
That's right. That's right.
Can you walk through just what a transition looks like quickly, like that first, 3 to 6 months for agents and owner?
Yeah, it starts before that. I mean, ultimately, the process of trying to discover if it's going to be a right fit before anybody's really put pen to paper on a closing document. That whole process is all of us getting together and learning and listening. So there's a ton of listening at that point. We're trying to learn as much as we possibly can. And then there's more listening once we've acquired the company. There's a whole process of marketing the exciting announcement. There's a whole process of welcoming the agents on board. There's training, but we're still learning from them for at least the first 6 months to a year. And they're learning from us. So at that point, we've developed such a really lovely relationship that we're able to collaborate whenever challenges come up, be it a pandemic, be it some kind of economic situation that occurs in a change in our environment, but we tackle it together because we've collaborated. But we've got a blueprint of how to go about it, the kinds of questions we need to ask, the ways that we need to prepare for the office before the launch. Then there's the whole launch process, which involves an entire schedule. We've got office captains who are there to answer any questions. We have a training schedule. We have marketing materials for everybody. And then it goes on and on and on. And it's a matter of learning about their culture, them learning about ours, and then finding a way to dovetail them and then to fold them into the entire company. Because the company on the whole as well, on the aggregate, has tremendous power. So what happens then is oftentimes they've been a smaller operation. Once they start to meet agents and other marketplaces that we cover, their business takes off because now they've got connections in those places and they're passing referrals back and forth.
Love that.
And we've had the experience of 17 acquisitions or something like that. So our transition process is almost flawless, but we always have one thing we have to adjust when we do the next one. But that process has been worked over time.
That's the one thing I'm saying with certainty is the transition. Because everything else is to your point, like the different company, different people, like we can't predict, but I'm like, I promise you the transition.
And it's easy when we're value added. We know the support team we have is unbeatable. So when you know that, it's almost as you got to feed them slower, so they're not drinking from the fire hose or whatever.
If someone's listening to this and just thinking they need to start thinking about their succession planning from an owner standpoint, we all know it's a very emotional process, obviously. Like, is there any like words of wisdom, things that you would want to kind of leave someone with that might be listening to this thinking that they have to start making a plan?
I just say, look in the mirror. You've got to have some sort of attractiveness about your company. You have to be a fair, square shooter. The people have to want to affiliate with you, and if they don't have that, if it's a cutthroat organization or something like that, they're probably not we're not going to acquire them. We're not interested. So I think it starts with the ownership. It starts with that leadership team. They have to be a good company, a respectable company. And then obviously you have to put your numbers in order and all of that, but that happens prior to them getting there. I hope that it does anyway. They look hard at their P&Ls and make sure that, there's any waste is being taken out and all of that sort of thing. But the most important thing for me is that they have to be a company that we want to match up with. And if we don't, we don't. We just don't do it.
And we see a lot where their quality of lives change dramatically, go up. They get relief from the day-to-day operations and they go do whatever it is. They vacation or they're producing agents and they increase. And it's, I really think that that's one of the key things that they can just grow even after.
Right.
So yeah, I think to Paul's point too is to really get a clear sense for themselves of what they're really looking for out of the acquisition because you know, for many of them, price is a clear situation, but there are so many other elements to a deal. What are you trying to get out of this ultimately? Is it to regain a certain life quality? Is it to be able to enter into the next chapter? Is it just to sell? I mean, what is ultimately the purpose behind it?
Yeah, you could have a wish list no matter who you are, no matter how great your upbringing was. Like, there's things you love, and then there's things that you're like, I might change the way that was or whatever. Like, have your list. If you had a company and you're so proud of it and like you want that legacy to be honored, there's still going to be things that you're going to look in the mirror to your point and be like, these are the things I love and I need to be able to express to someone that I'm sitting at the table with to talk this through because it's really important to my agents. And these are things I just could never quite master. Like, and you're going to want to find that perfect fit where like the things that you wish you could have mastered better, or maybe you had at one point and you can't now. Let's find that partner who can do both, who can maintain the parts you really liked, and then be able to help level up that. To your point, your agents are sitting there probably, if they're loyal to you, wishing they had, other things too. So that's all it is. And then also, like, I also always go back to my husband, Mike. He's very like analysis paralysis, and he was doing life insurance now like 5 years ago. The kicker was he actually ended up with type 1 diabetes like 2 minutes later. So he was stressed over his blood sugar because he didn't want it to be more expensive. So he was like doing all these things as we were getting closer to the date where like he's gonna have all his labs done. And like we were laughing about it because like his pressure was high because he gets so stressed. But like my thing is, if you didn't weigh yourself, find out what those things were supposed to be, find out what your blood sugar was supposed to be, do all that, you just walk in and you're like, oh shoot, now I'm paying like $1,000 extra a year because I didn't pay attention to that. And I feel like what the deal that you were referencing, it went so well to me. And honestly, some of it didn't. But the reason it went so well between us and the former owners is because they came in day one. They had asked like 3 people to analyze the company. They knew exactly what they were worth. And we were all on the same page because that's not magic. That's just facts. So I guess that is always what I say. What I've learned is like, even if you think you're not even going to do something or make a transition for 10 or 15 years, like you need to know what your own P&L looks like because there's probably things you can adjust, but don't show up on the first day, like they get your blood drawn and be like, oh shoot, I'm 10 pounds overweight and I could have just lost 10 pounds over the last 6 months. So that I feel like just from a tactical standpoint is just something that
And that's
more people.
that's where again we could recommend a third party to anybody. That's just they want to start the process. Better to have someone else look at your numbers. The emotion is out of it.
That's right. That's
And it's
right.
real numbers and they're talking to you with real numbers. It's the best way to do it. Don't try to do it yourself. We'd prefer not to get a negotiation with somebody where they're only handling the numbers. We try to always say, let's use a third party. And then it's about numbers. That's all. When you're at the numbers part, it's about numbers.
And to your point, we've come back to these, some that we've passed, and then the acquisition has come back to us. Like, oh yeah, all right, now it looks like it should look.
All right. So what excites you most about the future right now? Everyone's going to have to answer this.
So for me, I'm actually really excited about the way that technology is changing. And I think there are a lot of people who are pretty scared about what's going on. I went to a conference recently and they were talking about AI, and I would say almost the entire room walked out of there shaken like they had just witnessed something terrifying. And I was enthusiastic about it. And the reason is because I know that what we can do is we can figure out ways to take our processes and to use the AI tools in order to be able to take the small, low value tasks off of people so that they can be using their time on high value stuff and that they can use their time to connect with one another. And I think ultimately, the more digital this world becomes, the more important our one-to-one connection is. So I'm excited about it because I really think that in this next chapter, this is something we're going to master maybe better than anybody else.
I love that.
Yeah, I think mine is we have such a strong foundation now that we can go out and go into markets that we weren't in or that would help another market out and feel confident that we're not overstressing the company and get in and sometimes get new blood, new people who are running these companies or top agents, and it gets our people excited because then they get different questions and they can help them grow. So I like that.
Or yeah, it's always been a strategy that we wouldn't grow unless it benefited the existing company. And what I love is that the leadership team that we have now has given me the permission to go out and do more of that. Like I'm not on the day-to-day running the office necessarily anymore. And it lets me be me, lets me go out and talk to people. And I love that because that's kind of what I've always loved anyway. And I kind of had to throw it in between, being involved with the company every day. So that part for me is exciting because there's a whole nother chapter out there. And it's not like we don't want to be 100 offices, but there are good companies that probably could really benefit us and we could really benefit them. And I'd love to take the time. It gives you the time to really analyze and make sure you do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited about all the industry changes in a way, and it might sound like a little bit like negative, but I just think it's like gonna separate companies and salespeople. I think that the top is gonna like really rise with all like you're saying with the new technology, and every time there's a lot of legislation to keep up with and all these things, and it gets a little stressful. But what it really does is it separates the pack, and the real full-time committed people are going to get to shine because that's going to be what people are looking for.
Change and perceived crisis create opportunity every single time.
All right, lightning round, and then we're done. I promise.
Oh, God. That's right. Where were you on April 2nd? No.
Colleen,
Yes.
you got an easy one. Last Supper.
Last Supper. This is my last supper. What am I eating?
Yeah,
This is going to sound crazy, but sushi. I really love sushi.
I could get down with that. I'll come to your Last Supper.
There we go. Sounds good.
Paul, I feel like actually there's going to be a lot of things, but what's something that nobody could Google about you, like find out about you?
Are we talking about the things he's paid to keep quiet?
Yeah, or anything illegal.
First, you'd have to find Google.
Right. Exactly. You know what? This is interesting. I just lost an aunt that I was very close to for a long time, and when I was younger, she lived a couple houses down from me, and in about 6th grade, I realized I'm like reading in 3rd grade level, that she was a professor. And I used to sneak down, wouldn't let anybody see me, my cousins, because we all lived together, because I was embarrassed, so I'd go down, and then she, taught me, got me beyond where I was supposed to be. But she just passed away, and I saw her obituary, and it said she helped so many people that you will never know.
That's
And that was one of her.
That's
amazing.
That's really cool.
That's so cool.
Okay, Google that. Lightning round, Steve.
What's your favorite concert that you've ever been to or show? Could be also like a play.
Yeah, I became like a Paul McCartney groupie over the last few years.
Is that right?
Yeah. Then I saw him in Philadelphia and Boston. I followed him around, and I really wish. Trouble is, he's an old guy now. He doesn't do it anymore. But every time he did a concert, I found.
No, he's coming back out.
Yeah, get there. Okay.
Yeah, he's a man now. He does 2 hours of in and out of Boston, but he's a great show.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
I love that. I love that.
All right, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this today. These are awesome. And I feel like this is a lot of stuff that we take kind of for granted because, like, we have all these answers and we know all these things and we talk about them all the time. So we feel like people know, but they don't. And I hope people appreciate that. And if anyone has any further questions or wants to dig into any of this with us, I think anyone listening knows where to find us.
That's right.
So thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And just for Colleen's sake, Paul McCartney was a Beatle.
He was an insect?